Hey there, it's Carrie at Studio R12 Stencils, and we're getting in Halloween mode. We're looking for witches today. We have a super fun project. We're going to go over stencil basics. We're going to go over how to add 3D pieces to your project to really make it pop, and we're talking glitter. Everyone needs glitter on their Halloween projects. Stick with us. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so excited that you guys are here. I have been really loving some of our new Halloween designs. I was never really a big Halloween decorator, but that has changed. Since I've started working here, I have fallen in love with Halloween stencils and all the fun things that you can do with them. So I picked an extra Halloween project for this week, and I'm excited to share it with you. We are going to go ahead and get started. So this is the project we are working on. We're doing the Hocus Pocus Company Witches Wanted Apply Within. So there's some fun things with this. Let me go ahead and show you the stencil for this one. You can do this a couple of ways. You can do just the stencil and make it flat. It fits right on your surface. And the fun thing about this is it overlaps your surface a little bit. You could do it on a round or you could do it on a square. And the parts of the stencil that come off of the board, those kind of just get out of your way so you can stencil your band without having to worry about the stencil moving. So you can do just the stencil, or for this project, we have made all of the extra wood embellishments. So I'm gonna show you how to paint the wood embellishments, how to attach them, and of course, how to glitter them. So we're gonna start with basing our board. Go ahead and tell us where you're from, what the weather's doing, and we will get started. Would help if I had some paint. We're gonna use just basic white and black today. We're going to base coat our board with white. So these are just honey bottles that we got off Amazon, and we will share the link with you below. We use acrylic paint. Any good acrylic paint will do. We get them in really large containers because we paint a lot. So we just put them in here because it's easier to get the paint out of this than it is the large container. We're also using palette paper. Our surfaces are MDF. You can get the surfaces along with the stencils and some of our tools that we're using today off of StudioR12.com. We're using a polyfoam brush. Our polyfoam brushes are really great, and I'm going to show you why. So this is a polyfoam brush that we just grabbed at the store, and you can see when I am painting with it that it is super duper flimsy. And I'm not really pushing hard, but you can see there's not much control over it. So let me grab one of our polyfoam brushes, and I'm doing the same thing, and it's really just the tip of this one that moves compared to the whole brush. So there's a difference in polyfoam brushes. It just took us a while to find out why and which ones were good. On this brush, the wood dowel ends here, and then there's a piece of plastic. On our polyfoam brush, the wood dowel goes all the way up halfway into the polyfoam brush, and then the plastic starts. So there's a lot more control, and only the upper half of the brush is gonna get any movement. Okay, so we're going to start with base coating our board. We're gonna pick up paint. We are going to start in the middle, and when you are working on your projects, depending on how you're going to do the edges is going to depend on how you base your board and what you do with your brush. This board has black around the edge, and we want to keep it black around the edge because we are putting this on top of it, and it is black around the edge too, and we're going to paint it black. So we want our edges to remain black. So we're gonna be very careful that we do not get paint on those edges. And the way that you do that is that you sweep off of your board rather than pull the paint on towards you when you are base coating. And if you are struggling with doing that one way or the other, it is easier for me to pull it off rather than to push it off. So there's nothing wrong with doing it and then turning your board and continuing to pull it. So whatever way is easiest for you, if it's easier for you to pull or if it's easier for you to push, then you can just go ahead and follow along with that. We like nice long strokes. We like to keep our lines even and nice and straight. Around the edges, sometimes we will curve a little just so we can be sure that we get everything and that our brush isn't going, if we try to keep it straight, sometimes you can go over the edge and make a mess. And then once you're done with this, it does not matter which way the lines on your board go. That is going to be your decision of if the lines are going to go straight or if the lines are going to go sideways, up and down or sideways. I kind of base that each one that I do. I'll show you one of the samples that we have on the back wall. I did it with the paint going vertical or horizontal, horizontal, and it looked really cool once we got it all sanded. So this is what you're gonna do for your base coating. You're just gonna use your polyfoam brush, you're going to use your paint, and you are going to base coat. Base coat takes the longest time, especially depending on what size board you have. After you apply your first layer, depending on what kind of project you're doing, will determine how many layers of paint you put on. If you're going to want to do something rustic and country looking, or maybe like the Happy Halloween behind me that I will show you here in a little bit, you might only want to do one layer because you want it to not be as bold and bright. Or if you want to do something bold and bright, you're going to do probably 3 layers, if not 4, just so that you can get it there. All right, so I'm gonna put my polyfoam brush in the bucket. We have a video on our YouTube channel about how to clean brushes. We will share the link for that below. The dome brushes, the polyfoam brushes, they can all go in your bucket of water until it is time to clean them out, and then we will show you in that video how to clean them. Be sure, if you are here on our Facebook, we are live on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. and 9 p.m. We are in the comments, we are answering all your questions during our tutorials, and we also have giveaways if you're joining us on Facebook. Let's talk about our giveaways. This week, we are giving away a set of dome brushes for our 12 p.m. show and a set of dome brushes for our 9 p.m. show. All that you have to do to be entered to win is share it live, like, and then comment and let us know that you've shared. Because sometimes, depending on your settings on Facebook, it doesn't always pop up for us to let us know that you've shared. So we always go back through the comments to make sure everybody gets entered to win. We will announce the winners for these tomorrow. This is a 5 set of brushes. It includes the 5/8, which is the one that we use the most. And then we have a 3/8, and there's a 1/2, and then there are some tinier ones. But our 5/8 brush is our most used brush. That's what I'm going to be using today. If you have used our brushes, let us know in the comments below and let us know how much you love them. These are our favorite dome brushes. If you have not used our brushes, we are highly going to recommend getting a domed brush for your stenciling. This is one of the most important things with stenciling and not bleeding under. The brush is actually cut in the shape of a dome rather than a flat brush. When you have a flat brush, it tends to bleed under, so like the duster stippler is pretty flat, and when you put it down, it is going to splay out. When you have a dome brush and you are working with it, it is lighter on the tip, and there's not actually a time where the whole bit of your bristles are touching your stencil or your board. There's just a little bit that is touching it because of that dome. So the dome brush is your first tip in not bleeding under your stencils. So we have dome brushes. Be sure to share, like, and comment so that you can be entered to win those. And then for our grand prize, we are continuing our $30 shopping spree giveaway. So how you can enter to win that is to, after we're done, go to our Facebook page and click on the Posts tab. You can upload your photos of finished stenciled projects. We want to see what you are doing. You can upload up to 5. You'll get an entry for each one that you post. If you used a Studio R12 stencil, you will get an extra entry, so you could get up to 10 entries. We choose the winner of that next Tuesday before we do our tutorial. It is random selection, but we have been loving seeing what you guys have shared. We love getting inspiration from you and others getting inspiration from you. So this is super fun, and you have the chance to win a $30 shopping spree for Studio R12, and you can get any stencils or tools or any of those things that you would want. So we are going to start with our stenciling. This is going to be a nice, quick, and easy project. I am going to sand before I start doing this. This is a, trying to see what grit this is. I can never remember the grits of our sandpaper. This is, I think it's a 150 grit. Yeah, so the higher the grit, the smoother it is. So this is a 150, and I'm just going to run this over my project just to kind of smooth it out before I start stenciling. And it just makes it nice and smooth. We have a link for the sanding box on Amazon. We are an Amazon affiliate. We get a very small commission for the things that you purchase from our links. We do it more than anything else, just so that you guys have a place that you can go shop and find the things that we do not offer in our store. So we'll share the sand block. We will also share the sandpaper and what grits we use. We'll use the 150 for when we just want a light sand, and then we use a 60 grit when we want a really rustic sand. All right, we have our board ready to go. We are going to tape down our stencil, line it up. It fits perfectly on this board, which is nice. And I am going to, we are not going to use the banner of this stencil because we are going to use our embellishment piece. So I'm going to tape off around the banner. Now you could paint the banner if you wanted and then put the embellishment over it. It will just take up some extra time. I will show you something here in a few minutes though that may be a good reason to paint the banner, or a way that we can do a little trick here. So we're going to use our black paint, and we are going to talk about some stencil basics. We have our stencil taped down in 2 spots so it does not wiggle. We have our paint on our palette paper. We have a paper towel. We have our dome brush. You are always going to use a dry brush. This is important. If your brush is wet, if you have used it and it's still got water in it, then it can thin out the paint, which can lead to bleeding under on your stencil. So we're going to use a dry dome brush. We're going to put it in our paint, and then we're going to come off to the side on our paper towel, and we are going to swirl about 15 times. You can wipe off a couple extra if you wish. Do not skip the swirling off part. That gets off the extra paint that can cause to bleeding under. If it's really wet and goopy, you are going to have a mess. We're going to take our brush over to our project, and we are going to lightly swirl. Let us know in the comments if you are a stippler or swirler. We've been talking about this a lot lately, and a lot of times lately I've been hearing that it really just depends on the project. Sometimes if you want more of a dusty look, then you're going to swirl. If you want more of a bold look, you are going to stipple or do a combination of both. I like to do a combination of both, especially on projects like this that I really want a dark, bold stenciling. So that one time really got me through about half of what we're going to be stenciling today. And it's just nice and light and dusty. Stenciling is a layers game. You want to do it just a little bit at a time. The difference between stippling and swirling is that when you swirl, it is going to be dry by the time that you get back up to it. So that top layer on the where it's Hocus Pocus is already dry, so that when I get down here to the bottom, I can just go back and start again. All right, so I'm going to finish this word, and then we're just going to go back up to the top and do our second round. In this round, we are going to stipple. So stippling is a patting motion. You get a lot more coverage a lot quicker when you do this. I've got some junky stuff coming off of my brush, so when that happens, some of the bristles will come off just because of how they're glued. It's very minimal, but it does happen. You will wait until it's dry, and then you can sand it and scrape them off. Just going to continue to stipple, and I will stipple this top word, and then I will swirl the bottom word so you can see the difference in stippling and swirling and how it covers. And you also have to use a lot more paint when you're stippling to try to get more coverage. I had to add paint to my brush, I think 3 times just now, compared to the first time I did it when I swirled. I only had to add it once. So I'm going to go here and we're going to swirl. All right. Let me know in the comments, do you decorate for Halloween? I was never one that did in the past. I always just went straight to fall, and then fall doesn't last very long in my house before I put up Christmas. But I'm starting to fall in love with Halloween decorations. All right, I'm gonna pull this up, and then you can see the difference between stippling 2 layers and swirling 2 layers. And to be honest, I had a little bit too much paint on my brush when I started this second layer of swirl. You can see a lot of lines through it. You don't want to be able to see lines. You want it just to be nice and dusty. So this layer, I was doing it too fast. I had too much paint on my brush. When you are stippling, you will use more paint, get a lot more paint on your brush. So just a note for future use. So we will do one more layer of stippling here on this top. I'm going to do it on the bottom so it evens out a little bit more. To get the bold layer, I had one of the guys who works with us, and he and I were talking about getting bold paint. He does not do bold a lot. He does more of a dusty look, and he said bold is not his big cup of tea. And he swirls more, and I stipple more. And he was asking me, well, how do you do it? What's your trick? So well, I think it's just because I stipple. I stipple and I do it several times. On the project over here, I think I did it 3, if not 4 times, just to get that really bold look. So if you are stenciling and you are just using this stencil, then you are going to stencil the whole thing. If you are going to use the embellishments, you can stencil. You don't have to because your embellishment's going to cover it. But I did, the first time I painted the sample, I went ahead and really lightly dusted over where I was putting the embellishments so I would know exactly where they went. So then it's just kind of a marker for me to know where to place those embellishments and where to glue them down. We had someone recently asking about big areas and how to paint over the big areas. So this brush, you're just gonna stipple or you're just gonna swirl like you typically would. Stippling covers a lot more area quicker. So I swirled the first layer. Doing these large areas, I would stipple over those just to cover it more. So we have our base coat here on our surface. I'm going to put my dome brush in the bucket of water because when we work on our embellishments, we are going to use a dauber. You can use a brush with your embellishments. However, it is not as easy and it's harder to keep it clean. There's a lot of small edges here, especially on teeny tiny bats. So with the dauber, you'll be able to pat right on it, as with the brush, you kind of go off the edge and you don't have as much control. So you can certainly use a brush. A smaller brush might be more beneficial, but the dauber just makes it so easy. So we're going to use our dauber, and we'll put a link to the dauber below. We just do same as we do with painting with your brush. We dabbed it, and then we're just going to tap it onto our surface. And you're still going to do a couple coats of this. These are just MDF cutouts. And it does not take much time at all, but you do have to be careful with your MDF cutouts because they are thin. This one is very long. It moves a little bit. So if you are not being rough with, or if you're not being gentle with it, if you're being a little rough, there is the possibility that these can break. So just be gentle with them as you're working on them. Someone the other day said that I was a really fast stippler, and I didn't notice it, but I only notice it when we do videos and we speed them up, and it's so fast that you can hardly keep up with it. So we're just going to go through embellishment by embellishment. And actually, I think I'm going to put this down so that you guys can see what these embellishments look like against the black mat. So we're going to go embellishment by embellishment. Teeny tiny ones, might get a little paint on your hands. And I did 2 layers on each of the embellishments. I'll bring the cat back here because it's not as dark as I would like. Just get them as bold as you would like. You can do them in any color that you would like, but the dauber definitely makes it easier. Then we're going to come back to our round. So this is super fun. Now our round is only available if you also buy a surface. So we'll have a surface and a round that come together. And this just makes it really fun to add that 3D dimension. The borders and banners and frames are really, really popular right now. So we thought we would try adding a little bit of a frame to this one just to make it pop and stand out. So this project's a really quick project. Doesn't take much time. The stenciling is basic. Painting on here, the background, the base coating probably takes the longest since you have 3 coats to paint. Tell us what's your favorite part of working on your projects? Are your backgrounds and your base coats the favorite? Do you like the stenciling? Do you like adding the embellishments and the little bit of extras to make it pop? It's always interesting to hear. All right, so I'm just gonna have to put this in the bucket right now, but when you are done with your dauber, you want to immediately go wash it out, because if you don't, it will harden. If you take care of your dauber, it will last for a while. If you just let it set and dry, it is going to get hard. So luckily I have some brushes in here and I can wedge it under there and keep it nice and wet. Okay, so next it's time to glitter already. Don't forget to share, like, and comment so that you can be entered to win some of our giveaways. Actually, before I glitter, let's talk about the things that are the samples that we have behind us. We are gonna start over here with the broom hair, Don't Care, which is a super fun Halloween sign with a witch. We painted it in the really deep purple, and then we did the drop shadow, and we did the black drop shadow under the white on the words, and then a white drop shadow under the witch to kind of make her pop, since the black and the purple are both really dark. And that is STCL 5726. We also have our Warning Haunted House tree, which is kind of just a spooky scene. Chris painted that one and did a really fabulous job with the gradient kind of sunset look in the background, and then that black just really popping off. And it is STCL 5745. We have a whole collection for our Halloween 2021 stencils and designs, so we'll share that in the comments below. All of the new designs for this year you can find in there. And then this is my favorite. This is a new design with the Happy Halloween, and the words kind of look like they are in a bubble. And then you have the really pretty greenery banner around it. So with this one, I painted this one with a stain, like a toffee stain. And then I put our Clapham's beeswax on it with one of our sponges, just so that it wasn't specific. There's been times when I've used our Clapham's beeswax and you can tell that I used my finger because they were all little swipes. So I started using our Big C sponge, and it has made such a difference because it is just really random. So then after we used the wax, we used our cream paint and we put it on really thick and heavy over top of it, and then let it dry overnight. And then once we came in today, I stenciled the rest of the words. I just used a burnt orange and then a brown, and then I went through with our really heavy grit sandpaper, and all of the places that the wax was, the paint peeled away. So it's just a really fun way to have a nice rustic looking paint. You can peel it away before you start to stencil if you want your background to be rustic but you want your words to really pop, or you can do it at the end and just make the whole thing look rustic. So this is our Happy Halloween. It is STCL 5934. Which one of those do you like best? And I almost forgot that I can't forget our welcome skeleton sign. He is one of our top sellers this Halloween. We'll share the link for him below, but he has been really, really popular, and we have loved seeing how you guys have painted that. He's been painted with bats and extra little things on it, and he's also been painted in bright colors with designs. He's been painted with glow-in-the-dark paint. So a lot of really fun, exciting things that you guys are doing with him. Okay, let's talk about glitter. Glitter really can add to a project. When we were talking about this project, we were trying to decide, we know we want to glitter, but what do we want to glitter? How much do we want to glitter? So we just decided to go with the bats. We left the rest of it just plain bat black, and then you have just a nice little pop of glitter on your Halloween project. So to do the glitter, we have our little tray for glitter. You put your glitter over top of your thing here, and then when you're done, it has this little, here we go, this little cap. Then you can take the cap off and pour the excess glitter right back into the container, which is super duper cool. So then you're not wasting your glitter. We are going to start with a multi-purpose sealer. This is a Deco Art multi-purpose sealer. We will share the link for it below. And we are going to put it on our palette paper, and we are going to cover our bats that we are going to glitter with it. So this is going to help the glitter stay on your project. And we're just gonna dab it on. It dries clear, so there's no problem with it drying and being a funky color if you're not using black. We have glitter. We will share the link for where we got our glitter. It's a pack of a bunch of different glitters. And then we are just going to pour our glitter over while the sealer is still wet. And then we'll tap it off and set it to the side. I'll set it here so you can maybe see it on top of this white paper towel. And there we go. Glitter, easy peasy. It's very quick, does not take a long time. Now, one thing that I will say that I forgot to do last time, and I forgot to do this time, so I've forgotten it twice now, so I'll remind you. The bats on the project are already, we painted them with how they fit. So one thing that I didn't do last time, and I also forgot to do it this time, is to actually make sure that the bat is the correct way and that it fits over top of what we painted. So this one works. This one works. I did that one correctly. And we'll see here. Okay, so it looks like I did it correctly this time, but be mindful of that when you are painting. If you have a certain way that you want things, if you've outlined it, or if you want it to look a certain way, that you think about that before you paint it and before you glitter it. But how cute do these look? How much pop do they have compared to the plain black one? It is really, it makes such a difference. So we will do this last black one since I have it out. I'm just going to dab over here. And we will get this in the water. Make sure that you wash that out ASAP. The sealer sometimes can make it funky if you don't clean it quickly enough. I'm gonna put our glitter on here, shake them off, make sure he has glitter everywhere. And then there we go. We have 3 glitter bats. I'm gonna take the lid off of this. Be mindful, be careful when you have your lid off. I ended up with glitter all over me the other day when I was starting this project. Look how easy this is. You just put it right in the thing and you shake it off and the glitter goes right back into the container. So super easy, super quick, and then you're not going to waste a lot of glitter. We will share the links for the glitter and for the glitter tray below. So now we are ready to glue. And there are several different options of what you can use to glue your wood on. You could potentially use a glue gun. We are going to use the E6000. Now you will want to be careful when you are gluing that you don't want to get it everywhere. There's a couple strands here on this project, and there was a couple places that it spread over and just kind of seeped, so I painted over it just so you couldn't see it, but you do want to be super careful with your glue. So we're going to start with, let's start with the base. So I'm going to go on the back of it, move this out of the way so I don't get glue on it, and I'm just going to, maybe, here we go, use my glue and just put a dab of glue at different intervals around the border. Tell us what kind of glue do you use on projects like this? If you've done projects where you have done 3D and you've been adding things and you want it to stay, if we don't want it to stay all the time, we will use command strips. I did a video recently, I'll share it in the links below, that we did a swappable project and we just use command strips so that you can change things out. But with this one, this is one that you are going to want to stay on there. Now, lining this up is important before you push it down. So you're gonna lay it on top. You're gonna feel all the way around, make sure that it's lined up, and then you are going to push it down just a little bit, let it get set. Now, when we first did this, as soon as I put it on, before the glue was dry, I picked it up and my cat started sliding down on the project. So after you get it glued, you are going to want to leave it, let it be, let it sit so that it can dry at least overnight. And then we're going to, so on these with the bats, you can put glue on the back of the bat, or since you know where your bat's going because of marking it, you can put glue on the board itself. You have to be careful about all the strings. This is not my strong suit. And then I'm just gonna stick him over right where we had that lined up. So that is super duper easy, and we will just leave him there. So that is how we are gluing this on. We are almost done. I do have one more thing that I do want to show you, something that I didn't notice until we were done with the first project. And you can see it on this one too, but since this one's dry, I'm gonna go with this. So take a look at the edge around here. So you can see where I have the white board and where I based it, that there is some white that's coming through. I also didn't do a super great job at lining this one up. It's a little too high. So this is where, if you would paint the border black by using your stencil, it can help that. Or you can take a polyfoam brush and your, got a little goop. Take your polyfoam brush, get a little black paint, and then you can go around the edge here and dab it on the edge to help cover up that white. And then, let's see here, then you can have more of a finished and completed looking project. So you can just see here on this teeny tiny portion that I did that it has more of the black, it's more of the finished, and it gets rid of the white edge. All right, guys, I hope you love that one. It was quick and easy, but how cute is this gonna be either hanging on your front porch, welcoming all the trick-or-treaters this year, or hanging somewhere in your house with the glitter? Super duper fun. Make sure that you like, share, and comment so that you can be entered to win our giveaways. If you are watching us on Facebook, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. We have so many tutorials. I think we're over 50 hours now of video that you can go over and you can watch and check out all the videos, the tutorials. There's quick ones, there's long ones, there's decorating ones. And we just love sharing with you guys here and over there. If you're catching us on YouTube, be sure to head over to Facebook so that you can be entered to win our giveaways. All right, guys, I will be announcing the giveaway winners tomorrow. Be sure to check back on our Facebook page, and I hope you have a great day.